Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Jaya Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayanti Nashti Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. So, continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 25, the descriptions of the characteristics of King Puranjan. Text number 38 onwards. So, now this intelligence of the beautiful lady is speaking with Maharaj Prachin Barishat, or King Puranjan actually. Kam nutvad anyam ramye hi rati agyam kovidam asamparayabhimukham shwastanam vidam pashum. How can I expect to unite with others who are neither conversant about sex nor capable of knowing how to enjoy life while living or after death? Such foolish persons are like animals because they do not know the process of sense enjoyment in this life or after death. So in the previous verse, she said, My dear Lord, I have just arranged a city of 9 gates for you that you can have all kinds of sense gratification. You may live here for 100 years and everything for your sense gratification will be supplied. So means the body is ready for Ranjan. And now she is saying it as the intelligence. She said, how can I live with somebody who doesn't know how to enjoy? Means only the human beings, they try to enjoy the senses completely. Animals, they just do one or the other. Some of the senses are developed. But only human beings, all the senses are completely developed and completely entangle. Since there are 8,400,000 species of life, there are also many different living conditions. In the lower grades of life, in plant and tree life, there is no system for sexual intercourse. In the upper grades, in the lives of birds and bees, there is sex, but the insects and animals do not know how to actually enjoy sex life. In the human form of life, however, there is full knowledge of how to enjoy sex. Indeed, there are many so called philosophers who give directions on how to enjoy sex life. There is even a science called Kama Shastra, which is the science of sex. Even in human life, there are also such divisions as brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas. There is no sex life except in the grihastha or household or ashram. The brahmachari is not allowed any sex. A vanaprastha voluntarily refrains from sex, and the sannyasi is completely renounced. The karmis do not practice brahmacharya, vanaprastha, or sannyas life, for they are very much interested in grihastha life. In other words, a human being is very much materially inclined. Indeed, all living entities are materially inclined. They prefer grihastha life because there is concession for sex. The karmis think the other statuses of life are worse than animal life, for animals also have sex. Whereas the brahmachari, vanaprastha, and sannyasi completely give up sex. The karmis therefore abhor these orders of spiritual life. So the material intelligence, that is what she is trying to entice the soul into. Because the spiritual intelligence, especially the ashram, if we divide the ashram wise, brahmachari, vanaprastha, although Prabhupada said grihastha, but actually he meant grihmedi, because grihmedis are the ones who are more into this kind of enjoyment, so-called enjoyment. Grihastha is still an ashram, and they practice regulated life. In brahmacharya, vanaprastha, sannyas, they have no connection with the opposite sex, so no such thing. So this material consciousness or material intelligence is completely under the control of senses, and this is what she is enticing King Puranjan into, or the intelligence is enticing the soul into. Okay, get it and enjoy. But this is what materially conditioned souls, we don't understand. There is no such thing as enjoyment in the material world. But if you look at all the magazines and the movies and the TV shows and the advertisements everywhere, this is the uh, only activity that is promoted wildly. Actually, it's promoted heavily, and that is why from very childhood, or when the child becomes little old and he starts understanding, this is the only thing that gets into his head, because constant bombardment from everywhere. And and then what do we expect? His intelligence is already material, so and it's get more polluted. And this is what the material intelligence does. Dharmo yatrarth kamo cha prajanando amritam yashah loka vishoka viraja yanna kevalino viduhu. The women continued. In this material world, a householder's life brings all kinds of happiness in religion, economic development, sense gratification, and the begetting of children, sons and grandsons. After that, one may desire liberation as well as material reputation. The householder can appreciate the results of sacrifices which enable him to gain promotion to superior planetary systems. All this material happiness is practically unknown to the transcendentalists. They cannot even imagine such happiness. This is actually um, what is what the householders or the relatives of a person who wants to become a brahmachari in the temple or in the ashram, they all tell him all these things and much more. Oh, householder life is the best life, and you will be, who will take care of you when you're old? Where is the guarantee the wife will take care of you, wife or kids will take care of you when you're old? There is no guarantee. But this is what they tell, oh, who will cook for you when you're sick, and this and that. And the householder life is the best life, and you can enjoy it. And there's so many arguments again. And this is what the material intelligence is also telling, enticing the soul, King Puranjan. According to Vedic instructions, there are two paths for human activities. One is called Pravritti Marg and the other is called Nivritti Marg. The basic principle for either of these paths is religious life. In animal life, there is only Pravritti Marg. So Pravritti means fully getting into sense enjoyment. Nivritti means abstaining from that. Pravritti Marg means sense enjoyment, and Nivritti Marg means spiritual advancement. In the life of animals and demons, there is no conception of Nivritti Marg, nor is there any actual conception of Pravritti Marg. Pravritti Marg maintains that even though one has a propensity for sense gratification, he can gratify his senses according to the directions of the Vedic injunctions. For example, everyone has a propensity for sex life, but in demoniac civilization, sex is enjoyed without restriction. According to Vedic culture, sex is enjoyed under Vedic instructions. Thus, the Vedas give direction to civilized human beings to enable them to satisfy their propensities for sense gratification. So because this is a need for materially conditioned souls, so the Vedas have given directions, but under certain conditions. In the Nivritti Marg, however, on the path of transcendental realization, sex is completely forbidden. The social orders are divided into four parts: brahmacharya, grihastha, vanprastha, and sannyas. And only in the householder life can the pravritti marg be encouraged or accepted. according to Vedic instructions. In the orders of Brahmacharya, Vanprastha, and Sannyas, there are no facilities for sex. In this verse, the woman is advocating Pravritti Marg only and is discouraging the path of Nivritti Marg. She clearly says that the yatis, or the transcendentalists who are concerned only with the spiritual life, Kaivalya, cannot imagine the happiness of Pravritti Marg. In other words, the man who follows the Vedic principles enjoys a materialistic way of life, not only by becoming happy in this life, but also in the next life by being promoted to the heavenly planets. In this life, such a person gets all kinds of material opulences, such as sons and grandsons, because he is always engaged in various religious functions. The material distresses are birth, old age, disease, and death. But those who are interested in Pravritti Marg hold various religious functions at the time of birth, old age, disease, and death. Without caring for the distresses of birth, old age, disease, and death, they are addicted to performing the special functions according to the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. And this is the mentality of karmis. So they want to enjoy completely this life. So they do these huge religious functions. So dharma, then they get artha, then engage in kama, and then who cares about moksha? Factually, however, Pravritti Marg is based on sex life, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Yan Mathunadi. A householder who's too much addicted to Pravritti Marg is actually called a Grihamedhi, not a Grihastha. Although the Grihastha desires sense gratification, he acts according to the Vedic instructions. The Grihamedhi, however, who is interested only in sense gratification, does not follow any Vedic instruction. The Grihamedhi engages himself as an advocate of sex life and also allows his sons and daughters to engage in sex and to be deprived of any glorious end in life. A Grihastha enjoys sex life in this life as well as in the next, but a Grihamedhi does not know what the next life is about because he is simply interested in sex in this life. On the whole, when one is too much inclined towards sex, he does not care for the transcendental spiritual life. In this age of Kali especially, no one is interested in spiritual advancement. Even though it is sometimes found that one may be interested in spiritual advancement, he is most likely to accept a bogus method of spiritual life, being misguided by so many pretenders. And there are so many pretenders, so many bogus people guiding them or telling them what to do, what not to do. And basically, what they all say is you just do whatever you want. You just do it to the ultimate, and then you will develop renunciation from it. You will develop detachment from it. This is what Prabhupada has explained, that if there is fire and you will put more fuel in the fire, how is the fire going to get extinguished? It's not like a human body is like a wood, just a limited log of wood that if it is burned, then afterwards there is no more wood to be burnt. So then it gets finished. No more enjoyment. Human life is full of desires, mind, intelligence, full of desires. And more we engage in these activities, more the desires will grow. Even if the body allows or not, that's a different story. But then we try to figure out other ways of enjoying or engaging in these activities, because the desires don't die. Desires are not like a log of wood. The wood is going to be burnt and that's it. No more wood. Where is the fire now? The human body, human brain, human mind does not work like that. So the only way to get out is not doing that activity and at the same time giving the mind a higher taste, giving the senses a higher taste, giving the soul a higher taste. So automatically it won't go towards a lower taste. But most of the so-called spiritual people, they don't talk like this. They don't advocate this process. And Prabhupada, when he came to America and he was speaking seriously, strictly, no, it means you have to follow the four regulative principles. And many times people came to him, oh Swamiji, you change your philosophy, change your instructions, and thousands and millions of people will follow you. Prabhupada, I don't care. Whatever followers I have is enough, but I'm not going to change the principles. That is what Prabhupada is. Many times, now since we are on this topic, and Prabhupada has explained in last 2-3 verses very elaborately about this topic. Generally, if we go to any guru, generally they don't want to talk on this topic. At least among Indian circles, it is a taboo to talk about sex life. But Prabhupada would say, even Krishna has talked about in Gita, that the sex life that is not against the Vedic principle, that's what I am. Pure sex life, I am. But we being conditioned souls, conditioned living entities, having so many desires, different sanskaras from different lifetimes we have had. And now we're trying to purify ourselves, purify our consciousness, thought process, activities. So many times people do come and they talk about this issue. So the point is, it takes time. Gradually, it takes time. So yes, more we are engaged in devotional service, especially chanting and hearing, these desires go away, but they take time to go away. So the idea is, we are not here to become Anartha conscious. We are here to become Krishna conscious. So try more and more chanting and reading, more and more chanting and reading. And at the same time, if one member of the couple is into Krishna consciousness, the other member is not, and when they are young, the desires are there. So just do the best. I would just say, just do the best. No, if there is so much of fighting and discord in the family, that's not good for family life, or mental life, emotional life, or spiritual life either. So we try to do our best, whatever situation Krishna has put us in, and still at the same time try to make progress spiritually. And slowly, Krishna's mercy, devotee's mercy, Krishna will definitely put us in a better position. Just like when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Ramkeli, he was going to Vrindavan, but he went through Navadvip and he went to Ramkeli. Ramkeli was where Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami were there. They were the ministers in the government of Nawab Hussain Shah. And after meeting Mahaprabhu, they took initiation from Mahaprabhu and then they wanted to leave Nawab Hussain Shah's services and wanted to join Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this is after Mahaprabhu had left Ramkeli and we came back to Jagannath Puri. So they kept on writing letters to Mahaprabhu to allow them to leave and come. And Mahaprabhu sent them one letter that you keep on working on Krishna consciousness. And whenever Krishna desires, he'll make all the arrangements. So the point is, we keep on serving, keep on doing our services properly to Krishna, and at the same time, do the best we can in our material life also. And when Krishna wants, he can make all the changes in our life. Whenever we are ready, he can make changes without us even realizing how did this happen. So we just have to become eligible, qualified for that next change. And if we push ourselves forcibly, no, this is what I'm going to do, then there can be chances that what is called rebound can happen. There are chances. So whenever we are qualified, Krishna will definitely make all the arrangements. So all we have to do is make ourselves qualified by engaging more and more in these spiritual activities. But at the same time, taking care of the family and the other duties, whatever duties we have. Text 40. Pitri devarshi martyanam bhutanam atmanaschaha kshemyam vadanti sharanam bhave asmin yadgrihashramaha. The woman continued, according to authorities, the householder life is pleasing not only to oneself, but to all the forefathers, demigods, great sages, saintly persons, and everyone else. A householder life is thus beneficial. According to the Vedic system, when one is born in this material world, he has many obligations. He has obligations to the demigods of the sun and moon, King Indra, Varuna, etc. Because they're supplying the necessities of life. We receive heat, light, water, and all other natural amenities through the mercy of the demigods. We're also indebted to our forefathers who have given us these bodies, paternal property, intelligence, society, friendship, and love. Similarly, we are indebted to the general public for politics and sociology. And we are also indebted to lower animals such as horses, cows, asses, dogs, and cats. In this way, as soon as one is born in this material world as a human being, he has so many obligations and is bound to repay all these obligations. If he does not repay them, he is further entangled in the process of birth and death. The Grihmedi, however, who is overly addicted to material things, does not know that if he simply takes shelter at the lotus feet of Mukunda, he is immediately freed from all obligations to others. Unfortunately, a Grihmedi does not have any interest in Krishna consciousness. Prahlad Maharaj says, Matirna Krishna Parta Svatova. A Grihavrita is the same as Grihmedi, one who takes sex life to be supreme, finds actions in Krishna consciousness confusing, either due to his own personal considerations or due to his having taken instructions from others or conferring with them. He becomes addicted to sexual indulgence and cannot act in Krishna consciousness. So what the woman is saying, or the intelligence is telling the soul. Now the soul is all spiritual, it's all divine, it has all the divine transcendental qualities. But the material intelligence, it just guides him in such a way that he becomes helpless. He thinks, if I don't act like the way my intelligence is telling me, then I will be a loser. How am I going to enjoy? And this is what the intelligence is saying. And if according to authorities, she's not making it up. She said, according to authorities. So this is like a very convincing point for the soul. Oh, it's mentioned in the scriptures. See, we have to follow the scriptures. Yes, it is mentioned in the scriptures, but there are gradations of scriptures. When Krishna says Sarva Dharman Pariteja Mam Ekam Sharnam Vraja, then that takes care of every other instruction in the scripture. It is true, if one does not do activities to repay the debts to forefathers, demigods, great sages, saintly persons, and everyone else, then it's a sin. Because we got this body, we got the society, we got the planet Earth, we are using the facilities provided by demigods, light, air, water, and so many other things. And if we don't pay them back in what way? Just like forefathers, Pitri Rina. So we pay back the forefathers by having children. We pay back the sages by transmitting, first getting the knowledge and then transmitting knowledge to others. We pay back to the demigods by using or by doing the sacrifices. But if we have taken shelter of Mukunda, Krishna, that's why his name is Mukunda. Why Mukunda? Mukunda means one who gives mukti, liberation. So liberation can only happen if we are sinless. All the sins are gone, and we are at the transcendental level. Our consciousness is at that level. So, but Krishna says, if you just take shelter of me, I'll relieve you of all the sins. Do not worry. So if Krishna is saying that, then obviously all the sins are gone. And not only those sins, even the sins, the impious activities that we might have performed, not might have, we have performed, plenty of them. All those sins are wiped out, completely wiped out. For a devotee who has taken complete shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. Now that's a catch. Complete shelter. And if we have not taken complete shelter, then obviously we have to. We have to pay for those sins. So, but at the same time, since we are trying to make advancement, and Krishna will consider that, Guru Parampara will consider that, and they'll take us, pull us out. So it's not that because of our sadhana or because of our practices, we're going to get out of this material world. It's by their mercy we're going to get out. And that mercy will flow if you're trying to do our services sincerely, properly. But the material consciousness, material mentality, intelligence will definitely try to pull us more and more into the material life, just showing us how beautiful this life is. And can we the setting of this talk where it is happening, how it is explained, it's so beautiful. The setting is so nice. The scenery is great. And if you just read the translation, not the purports, we'll get really bewildered what's happening in Bhagavatam. But then Prabhupada's purports come in and they are really heavy. And that really sets the mood right. Oh yes, this is actually what Bhagavatam is all about. It's not about sense enjoyment, it's about devotional service. So Prabhupada's purports really help in understanding all these shlokas. So anyway, we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, how is the reign of lower animals paid then, Prabhuji? It's mentioned here we have some obligation to cats, dogs, and all.
By taking care of them, feeding them.
Tabhi in fact we see people feeding biscuits and all these early in the morning.
Yeah.
Mm.
In fact, in older days, every household would have first roti for the cow and the last roti for the dog, or maybe the second roti for the dog, something like that.
Mhm.
They would invariably every day, 2 times a day, whenever they're cooking, they would do
Mhm.
that.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Okay, so we can stop here. You all have a wonderful and safe Ekadashi. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.